Modernism in literature explodes the idea of a single coherent narrative voice. The British novelists Virginia Woolf and James Joyce are credited with developing the stream of consciousness techniques that plunges readers into the unscripted subconscious mind of their characters. In Joyce's final novel, Finnegan's Wake, the narrator is asleep and dreaming the entire 500-page book. He sometimes wakes, only to burp and fart. William Faulkner's The Sound and the Fury is literally a tale told by an idiot, as Shakespeare's Macbeth had it. The narrator is mentally retarded. In this novel, as in others, the reader is forced to cobble together fragments of meaning and polyphonous conceptual streams in order to simply make sense of the plot, let alone determine the theme. In poetry, meanwhile, the worldview is often bleak and nihilistic. In Wallace Stevens' The Snowman, the somewhat comic title is an ironic twist on the idea of man lost in a meaningless universe, where the only reality is his own ability to think about the meaninglessness. One must have a mind of winter, to regard the frost in the boughs of the pine trees crusted with snow, and have been cold a long time, to behold the junipers shagged with ice, the spruces rough in the distant glitter of the January sun, and not to think of any misery in the sound of the wind, in the sound of a few leaves, which is the sound of the land, full of the same wind that is blowing in the same bare place for the listener who listens in the snow, and nothing himself beholds, nothing that is not there, and the nothing that is.
Igor Stravinsky's The Rite of Spring received its debut performance in Paris in 1913. During that performance, the audience rioted, and the ballet was not fully performed until the second of its 6 performances. Stravinsky's erratic and dissonant score told the story of pagan Russian fertility rites, was accompanied by very evocative choreography by Nijinsky. This piece is considered to be a groundbreaking composition in the 20th century, opening the door for a variety of experimentation and exploration. Stravinsky's outline idea is suggested by its subtitle, Pictures of Pagan Russia in 2 parts. In the scenario, after various primitive rituals celebrating the advent of spring, a young girl is chosen as a sacrificial victim and dances herself to death. Igor Stravinsky's reputation was that of a musical revolutionary who pushed the boundaries of musical design. His music makes significant use of Russian folk melodies and elements. Stravinsky presents them in a radically new way. Melodies are fragmented into musical cells and presented as ostinati, or frequently repeated patterns, relating to 2 or more harmonic centers simultaneously. The angularity of the line, staccato and somewhat random rhythm lend to the abrasiveness of his music.
Expressionism gained significance between the years 1905 and 1918 during a turbulent cultural climate. The Expressionists believed that art and society were interwoven. Through art, literature, cinema, and music, they disclosed social injustices, rejected materialistic prosperity, and wanted to weaken the privileged leisure class system. They felt this could only be achieved through artistic awareness and a proletarian revolution to dismantle laissez-faire capitalism. With the collapse of the bourgeoisie class, growing scientific ideology, and philosophical concepts, many expressionists applied Sigmund Freud's studies on the unconscious and its expression automatique to their works. By looking inward, the expressionists probed for the implication of what is or might be. German expressionist painting experimented with the use of geometric shapes and bright, often garish colors to create a sensation of vitality and artistic force. As Kandinsky said, a work of art consists of 2 elements, the inner and the outer. The inner is the emotion in the soul of the artist. This emotion has the capacity to evoke a similar emotion in the observer. Vasily Kandinsky, a Russian from Moscow, felt that, and I quote, "A perfect drawing is the one where nothing can be changed without destroying the essential inner life, quite irrespective of whether this drawing contradicts our conception of anatomy, botany, or other sciences." Kandinsky felt that the inner elements of art, such as shapes, lines, and colors, or content which allowed vibrations from deep within to be symbolized. He states, "The artist must train not only his eye, but also his soul, so that it can weigh colors on its own scale, and thus become a determinant in artistic creation." Egon Schiele, a Viennese painter, had studied at Vienna's prestigious Academy of Arts from 1906 to 1909, under the tutelage of Gustav Klimt. The dates are significant because the classification list issued by the Academy for the years 1907 to 1908 stated that Adolf Hitler's submitted drawings were insufficient to gain admission. Hitler's boyhood desire to gain recognition as an artist had been denied. Hitler would later vent his rage against the academics who accepted a pervert, pornographer, and criminal like Schiele instead of him. This incited Hitler's rage and contempt for those decadent, quote, swine artists. Schiele saw a probing inner investigation into his subconscious and dark side. He wrote, "Art cannot be modern, art is eternal." His self-portrait showed angular, jagged features that were contorted or exaggerated, rendered flat in a decorative style. Many felt Schiele exhibited a narcissism unequaled with so many self-portraits.